I'm here to actually talk about something that's close to my heart because it impacts my community, the Black community. Not even sure sometimes I'm even accepted, but one thing that I notice is a common thread in speech and the way that we associate ourselves these days is around non-judgment or accepting me as I am. I thought that this would be an appropriate topic because I do believe it's scam-ish. It's a scam mindset mentality that, in my opinion, it's designed to hold back and keep certain people. And it doesn't just stay in the Black community. It's I would say that it probably is applied to whoever will accept it so that you can remain in the majority. And the majority would be below middle class. Essentially, it's designed to keep you at a certain socioeconomic level. And I hear these phrases a lot. I wrote some of these down. It's accept me as I am. I'm living my truth. I said what I said. I don't like to be judged. I sat here and I watched a video clip of the Kendra G show where a young lady, beautiful, beautiful woman, comes on there, no bra, and she's essentially just like flashing the entire audience. And the things that she said out of her mouth in terms of the outcomes that she's getting from her dating experience, to me, it's reflective of the way that she presented herself on an internationally syndicated show. It's interesting. She self-described as free-spirited. And many of the men in the comment section were saying stuff like, oh, she for the streets, and the women will respond, that's not true. No, that's not true. Because, of course, like the automatic response for many women whenever presented with a statement is to just immediately say, that's not true. Like, there's no truth to it whatsoever. Like, come on. I've seen it so many times where a woman will say she's free spirited, and really what that means is she fights and resents structure. If you ask her out on a date tomorrow at 8, but her friend hits her up at 7:50 and says, "Oh, let's go here," she's gonna diss you and say, "Nah, I'm a little bit busy. Something came up." That's free spirited. What that really means is that she's going to fight structure and conformity. When you might have leveled up your mindset to the point where you would like to climb the corporate ladder, and you understand that means, I can't wear shirts like this. I've got to put on a tie. I got to put on a suit. I've got to speak and alliterate myself correctly. Make sure the diction that I bring to the workplace is well thought out. And you understand that you have to conform to certain societal norms, or at least what fits a certain socioeconomic status in order to be in that area. And what that brings me to is the concept of like attracts like. I remember an experience that I had with my wife one day, and we're walking through the airport, and we're far enough from this group of people. I think this was around 1 a.m. and we just came back from New York. And it looks like a team meeting of maybe the cleaning crew or something. We walk past them. We get far enough to where they're able to shout something, but in order for me to respond, I'd have to deliberately turn around and address it. And it was some sort of ignorant mess, that dudes say to women. He said something disrespectful, and my immediate reaction is to correct it. And I look at my wife, and I know she heard it. She didn't even respond. She didn't even react. And I notice she does this a lot of times because she understands that where I come from, it's just the mannerism and the behaviors that are associated where I came from. It's difficult to fight in a natural setting. It's the first thing I want to do, So when I noticed that she didn't respond, I just kept it moving. But what that really meant to me, and when I look back on it and I reflect on it, is like attracts like. People like that, they say things and they're rude and disrespectful because they assume everyone is on their level. And that's one of the hugest mistakes that you see, especially in the Black community. If he were to shout something like, hey, how do I turn hundreds into thousands? thousands into millions. How do I invest my money? How can I become free? How can I level up my style? It might have attracted my wife to say, you know what, hey, why don't you school this guy? Why don't you educate him? Because he obviously wants to better himself. But the best thing that he could think of at a time where he sees millionaires, people who are living their life and experiencing the world, coming off of planes every day, the most intelligent thing that he could think to come up with is an obscenity to be offensive to another black person, a black woman at that, and to try and get chuckles and laughs out of his constituents. And ultimately, what he's making the failure, what he's failing to understand is that you're always being watched and there's always an opportunity to climb and grow. And people and individuals like that are of the accept me as I am, don't try to judge me because I don't know how to say intelligent things, or I don't spend my time trying to educate myself or to improve my status. And I think that mindset, the way that he's living his life, and people who want to live in that kind of lane, you're falling into the trap, the scam, in my opinion, scam-ish trap that people above you want you to fall into. You're going to constantly stay where you are, and you're going to constantly get satisfactory results. And you're going to constantly wonder, like, man, how come I'm working so hard, but my life never improves? Why is it that people walk by and they ignore me? Why do we walk by and ignore you, bro? Because you're not speaking the same language. You're not intelligently forming words that reach my brain to where I should turn around and try to communicate with you on a certain level. And what that does, unbeknownst to them, or maybe they do know it, maybe they've just accepted this as a part of their life. But what it does is it puts them into a box. And so in 10 to 15 years, when life hasn't changed, people have moved on. Some of the people, the outliers, the people who don't follow in that group of people, they might have leveled up, and they might look at themselves and wonder, man, why is it that I'm in the same place? It's because you've fallen for the trap, young man. You, along with many other people out here who feel like, oh, well, I don't need to present myself in a certain way. I'm free spirited. I go with the flow. It is what it is. Keep thinking like that, and you'll keep being the person you are. You're not going to grow. You're not going to challenge yourself. And that's the biggest thing. You'll always be unchallenged, and you'll fall into your laziness and into the trap that life sets up for some people who believe, hey, I've got all the time in the world to be who I want to be. I'm going to live my life, So I'm going to wrap it up. I think the final point that I'm going to make is one of the other biggest traps in the same kind of mindset is, especially for young folks. Now, I'm in my 30s, so I know that I've tried to not do this in my 20s, which is, my 20s are to live it up, to party, enjoy myself. I can buckle down when I'm in my 30s. I can get serious later, and I think that's the biggest mistake, especially understanding that the large majority of 20-year-olds want to take that same mindset. So what you're doing is you're blowing a decade of time where you could actually focus on advancing yourself, sacrifice when you have the best ability to sacrifice. You have no responsibilities if you've made the right decisions as a teenager, and you should be able to make the right decisions and work the hardest when you have the most energy and time to do so that when you do reach your 30s, you're chilling, you're cruising. But most of us want to sit here, we want to lie to ourselves, and we want to tell people, hey, don't judge me. Don't judge me by my mistakes. I had to live and learn. It's all a scam. It's all a scam. And the people who encourage that behavior, they might not be a part of some sort of diabolical strategy to keep you down, but ultimately money flows in a pyramid to the top. And they know that if they keep you in that mindset, every dollar you make will go directly up. It'll go right to their hands, and you'll keep having to work hard for a living. And if you keep the same mindset as you did when you were 20, You'll probably have that same mindset in your 30s and into your 40s. And if you smarten up by then, it'll be too late. I'm out. This is